You have the program from George. Okay. Yes, it's gonna be this morning. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, it's noon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting. Please stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jessica, roll call please.
Lasker, Nemecheck,
Here.
Conklin,
Here.
Moody,
Here.
Buchanan,
Here.
Form present.
I would entertain a motion to excuse the Commissioner Lassiter. He had another day.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. The purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item or items on the consent agenda be removed and placed at the last item under new business to receive full discussion. Such requests will be automatically be respected. We have two items. A, approve the October 11th regular meeting minutes as presented, and approve the city manager to execute activities with Mark4 Technologies to renew, purchase 5 Adobe licenses for utilization by city administrative staff at a total cost of $1,350. Anyone in the audience with a question or comment on removing one of these items? Commissioners? I'd entertain a motion then to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Jessica, roll call please.
Nemecheck,
Here. Or aye.
Conklin,
Aye.
Moody,
Aye.
Buchanan,
Aye.
motion carried.
Moving on to citizen comments. This would be citizen comments on non-agenda items. You're limited to 5 minutes. We ask that you go to the podium, state your name and address, and Jessica will be keeping the time. Anyone with a citizen comment on non-agenda items? Okay. Moving along to correspondence, we have the tip of the Mid Watershed Council, a tribute titled "A Tribute to Our Waters 2021 Annual Report." And the full report is available at the city clerk's office. Anything else in the correspondence? Mike, moving on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Since our last meeting, a programming error was found in our heating and cooling system controls for this commission chambers, which has since been corrected and hopefully should result in more comfortable meetings. We have updated our Zoom electronic meeting security settings, which should prevent viewers from being able to unmute themselves during the meetings. They can still request to be unmuted and allowed to participate remotely or not as determined by the mayor and commission. Allowing remote participation is optional, as is the broadcasting of our meetings electronically. If the commission wishes to discuss this further, we could add this as an item for a future meeting. You'll notice that we're just using the one monitor in the commission meetings chambers here tonight. And we are live on Zoom, and we're streaming it on YouTube, our meeting on YouTube as well. Our IT consultant has been working on converting our monitor system to more reliable and stable connections. That isn't completed yet, so we're just running on the one monitor today. Hopefully we'll have more results on that by our next meeting. As of this morning, we have issued 790 absentee ballots for the November 8th election. 450 have already been returned. City Hall will be open for extra hours for the issuing and receipt of absentee ballots on Sunday, November 6th from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The first pours for the splash pad of concrete for the splash pad at Peninsula Beach Park have taken place and are continuing to take place today. They hope they get a lot of that done, before the end of the day. The Washington Ball Mix, which was approved for purchase at our last city commission meeting for Rotary Park, has been delivered and is scheduled for installation in the near future. I've made arrangements with the Michigan Rural Water Association, of which we are a member, to provide free support services from 2 of their properly licensed water and wastewater professionals for the next 3 months as we work our way through efforts to find replacement staffing for our retired water wastewater superintendent. Basically, the state contacted the city and told us that we needed to move on with steps. We've been in communication with them about our efforts to find a water wastewater superintendent. But they basically said we need to bring somebody in with additional licenses. So we're working our way through that process. Basically, what I'm hearing is there are at least 3 other systems similar to ours in the state that are also looking for a superintendent. So it's an issue that the state and the profession is aware of, but like a lot of other professions, there's also a shortage of people with the proper certifications at this point. If we do need to use their services beyond the 3 months, they would be available for a free, and that would come back to the commission for discussion. We'll be conducting a public logic and accuracy testing for our election processes here in the City Hall lobby on Thursday, October 27th at 10 a.m. This test is designed to provide an overview of the election night vote counting process and to verify that the ballot counting program prepared for the election is properly reading and tabulating votes. The public is welcome to attend this test. The annual Housing North Regional Housing Summit is scheduled to take place in Traverse City this Thursday and Friday. If there are any commissioners that are still interested in attending, they should let Scott or Jessica know. We can make arrangements for that. A reminder that our fall leaf collections are now taking place on Mondays and Fridays. The program is currently scheduled to continue through Friday, November 11th. We'll see how the leaves are coming down at that point. Leaves to be collected need to be bagged and properly in craft paper bags. DPW crews are scheduled to move the Shoppers Dock and fishing piers to the marina for their winter storage later this week, weather permitting. Evan Marsh is continuing to work on the design for our marina. Given our altered November meeting schedule due to the election, it will be available to be presented to the commission at our November 22nd meeting. That is also the meeting where the short-term rental ordinance is scheduled for its second reading. Having those 2 major items on the agenda for one meeting may be a bit much. It may be something for the commission to consider about whether we want to separate those at some point. As we move the marina to a different regular meeting or a separate work session. A reminder that if you have any other questions or need any additional information on these or other items, please let me know. That's what I have for today.
Commissioner, any questions? Right.
Well, just, on that comment, I think we need to talk about that right now.
Well, I thought maybe we should just add to the investment already.
Okay, so we're gonna put it as E.
Yeah. Just because I want to put them in stock, the percentage is 790. My total voter roll.
I know that we're at like 37.
37%, yes. Mike, I was wondering, why are they offering their services for free? Is it because we're a member of the rural association?
Yeah, we've been a member of their association for quite a period of time. They make this service available to all their members.
Right. Other questions, Commissioner? Moving on, old business, or excuse me, we have the reports of officers, boards, and standing committees. We have the financial statement for September 2022. Any comments or questions, Commissioner, on the financial statement? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to old business, we've got the Boyne City State Park location Recommendation for Rotary Park. Consider the recommendation from the Park and Recreation Board to approve the location of the skate park at Rotary Park, west of the baseball diamond A, east of the soccer field and south of the pickleball court. I'm not sure who's taking the lead on this. Dawn?
Well, wait,
Yeah.
I guess I'm the lead. All right. So I'm Greg Vadney, my address is 717 First Street, right here in Boyne City. And we have our board, this Boyne Area Skate Park Board that we've formed, and I'm also on the Parks and Rec Board as well. And we just kicked off a real effort now to zero in our location for the skate park. I provided some maps. We've had some conversation with the Parks and Rec meetings, and we really are at a sort of a juncture where we need to find the location forward with our planning and fundraising and that sort of thing. We've already begun some small fundraising, but in order to really move forward, in particular for a grant, which the deadline is the 1st of November. And I was gone for the previous Parks and Rec meeting where this new option, which you see up there, is the preferred option, just looks like, as we're looking at the map, I know that would be, I guess that'd be, what do we, I don't have that, that's south of the tennis courts there, the sort of the middle one. We have looked at several other location options. I can answer any questions about that. We sort of landed at Rotary for a number of reasons, and I'm open to questions and anything you guys have.
Okay. Is there any other staff input the recommendation from the Parks and Rec?
I can jump in, and both Dawn and Mike were at all the Parks and Recreation Board meeting. This process has been going on for several months and has involved a lot of research and discussion, both by the subcommittee, a private group that's working to get this established, as and also with the Park and Recreation Board. So now it's coming to the City Commission for your consideration with regards to it. As Greg mentioned, they've looked at a number of locations that are on the other maps. Everything from right behind City Hall here and some of the space just west of the fire hall to other parks and other locations in Rotary Park as well too. And after talking to the park board and getting input from our police department and other areas of our staff, they came up with this preferred location, which is shown again on the screen behind the mayor, which is just south and a little bit west of the tennis pickleball courts, east of the soccer fields, and west of the southerlymost ball fields there at Rotary Park. They like the proximity to the restrooms that are there at the park. There's parking nearby. It's a central location. It's in a location in the middle of a park where if there is any noise or activities, it really won't impact the neighbors around it. Overall, they just felt that this was the preferred location for them to go with regards to it. And again, that's the recommendation of the Park and Recreation Board to the City Commission, that the City Commission approve this request for providing a site location so that they can continue to go forward with their fundraising and planning efforts. And again, this is very similar to what we've done with other groups or entities. We talked about the splash park being poured in Peninsula Beach Park right now. We had the dog park that was created on the north side of town on some other city property. We have a group that's looking to bring an additional recreational opportunity to the community that's looking to put their resources if the city provides them a space to do that. So that's a general framework of the discussion. Dawn or Mike might have something that they wish to add, but I think that helps summarize it.
Okay. Kevin, is there anything you, any recommendation or comments you have about the location? I know you've been concerned about avalanche kind of being out of the site, and does this meet your expectation?
Yes, I'd like, as the map's up there, I definitely prefer the deferred option as opposed to the two others. I would be heavily hesitant on anything in avalanche. I think this is a project that needs to move forward and we're exploring it.
And Greg, you have done research on the 10 or 12 years ago when there was a lot of work done on Peninsula Beach. Could you just summarize that briefly?
So we, a couple of years ago, when I started looking at this before, we got all the previous minutes, there's a lot of conversations that have taken place already. So a lot of the questions that may be asked have already been asked, answered. As it relates to Peninsula Beach, there was some opposition from the condominium owner in particular regarding noise. At that time, it had more to do, and subsequent to that conversation, some folks went out with decibel meters at the other existing skate parks that are similar size in this local area, Harper Springs, Gaylord, Petoskey, et cetera, and measured for decibel readings and found that depending on the material that you end up with, the parks don't create much more noise than the road that's right there anyways. That being said, there was still sort of an opposition to that location. You can go back and look at those minutes. I've submitted those to the commission, and I'm sure they're recorded somewhere as well. And to that point, as we've zeroed in, there are several other maps in this presentation that sort of show other places that we have considered. We have given it a lot of thought, and we have used the users' input as well as the police in the cities. You know, it's not just about it being in choosing this location. If you go back in the minutes, you can see all the check marks that you have to hit. Close to existing facilities, anything that you don't have to add when it comes to parking, lighting, and all that sort of stuff, that all adds to the plans. We're picking a location that is already an established, sort of city facility location as well. So that's kind of why we ended up here. It wasn't the first place we went to, but the light bulb went on, and it really does make the most sense for us. In terms of size, we're really looking at something in the 5,000 to 6,000 square foot range. It's not huge. Some of these other parks are 10, 12,000 square feet. We're modeling this after the Houghton, in the UP, Houghton, Hancock, that area. They built a park in 2018, and it's a really similar footprint, permanent concrete structure that's going to hold up to Northern Michigan outdoors. That was one of the other big points we wanted to make. We didn't want something that was being used out west or down in the sun. We wanted a place that was going to get beat up by the wind and the rain. So we think we're zeroing in on that as well.
Could you introduce the other members of your board or who are helping with this?
Yeah, this quadrant over here is our board. These are all Boyne City folks. Alicia really has been sort of lead everything. If she didn't have the sort of go-getter attitude that she's had, I would still just kind of be sitting there because frankly, I understand the language of meetings and organizing projects, but she's done a lot of the grunt work, setting up our 501c3, digging in and making contacts with whatever time she's had, and it's really helped motivate me. And then right for our team here, we're all, you can find us. We're doing the canned returns and canned drives, and we're all, parents and young professionals here in Boyne that see a need for it. So they've all been a huge help, and in the little time that we've made some events happen, we really turned some light bulbs on and had a lot of people asking a lot of questions, and it's encouraging. I have gotten nothing but support from the city, the police, and the citizens. I think everybody gets what we're trying to do and is behind us. So, and I trust the team here. I mean, I don't get the sense that anybody's looking for anything else to do. This is a really good project for all of us. We've worked well at it so far.
Okay. Any citizens comment on Mike?
I have one more thing to add. If you look at the map and the size of it, it lends itself for expandability if this were to take off and really become popular, as we hope it would. And also the fact that it gives young families an opportunity to have a lot of different means of play and exercise there. A young family could bring you know, a child there and they'll be playing baseball while their other kids are on the skate track there. Or even, you know, the pickleball. So I think centralizing it, making it close for families to keep tabs on their kids and children as they play over there, it's a great thing, a great location. It will take a little bit of site development to get it ready for that, because there's a lot of trees and probably some tile work and whatnot, but any site's gonna require some kind of prep, so.
So if we approve this location, what's the process going forward? Would be a city administrator to approve the site plan and all those sorts of things for planning? Or
The commission can set the parameters on it as it would like. If the commission is comfortable working through the park board and staff, you can manage it by that, at that level. If the commission would like to have it come back and see some more detailed plans after they get their funding and timing and things like that for a report back. Kind of like what we talked about last week at the, or at our last meeting with regards to the social district. How much leeway you want to give is up to the commission. So we're more than comfortable bringing it back and giving you updates along the way, as much or as little information as you would like.
all right, any comments or questions?
I got one more quick one. I forgot to mention. This location, the other key thing is this does set us up to partner with Tomba on possibly integrating a pump track as well. Up around the perimeter of the project. I'm a little hesitant to get into details on that because we really haven't gotten that far, but it's because of the proximity to the school forest loop trail and the potential for them connecting that. This does set us up in a good spot to do some joint fundraising and possibly qualify for some of that funding as well. So it's just kind of another way to help build more into it, try to diversify the use of it.
I saw a hand back there.
Jordan Peck, Boyne City Main Street Director. So I had the opportunity to work with Alicia and her husband and the team since early on in the summer when they've started talking with me about their ideas. I met with them again this morning, and I have full confidence that this group is very serious about taking this to the next level. And I also have a lot of confidence in the fact that this is a need and a spoken need within our community. It's also a great opportunity for some collaboration, like was mentioned with Tomba. I think it fills a need that our community has for a really growing sport. And it's a great location and a great option. I know a lot of their fundraising is going to depend on having this location down. So, if this is able to move forward and get the green light, I know they have people that are in the queue that are interested in supporting this endeavor. So I just like to speak on their behalf today. It's a great group. I've enjoyed working with them so far, and look forward to more opportunities.
Anyone else? Okay. We can move along to Commissioner Deliberation. Martin,
Yeah, sure. I don't have any problem with it. I think it's a great idea. It's been batted around many times over the last few years. My only question was going to be the preferred location. I get it. And I'm sure you guys have talked this out many times. I was looking at it that there's already so much going on right in that center there. Why was it not picked on the edges? But I guess Chief kind of talked to that a little bit. I guess it's a little bit more sequestered. Is that where you guys came up with that?
Yeah. There's a lot more clearing that would need to be done, but yeah, really my conversation with Chief Spade was that, that's kind of a little too hidden and out of the way. And, it does breed the opportunity for mischief that would otherwise be up there.
if I could add too, when we went started our Parks and Rec meeting last week, the preferred was between Route 3, yeah, and that was there was another recommendation taking its locations better.
No, it makes complete sense. I just, like I say, there's so much because skate park would be a year-round thing versus, you know, the other things would be coming and go and stuff. I was just more concerned about everything happening at once. But yeah, full support.
John?
Yes, I'm in full support. I was intrigued by all the different locations and I appreciate the conversation. And as to why you picked this one and upon reflection, yeah, I think it's a great location. I've stated before that the soccer field on any given weeknight during the spring, during the fall, there's 300 people up there, families watching their kids and grandkids play soccer, and this is cool. It's just one more attraction, one more place for kids and families to gather. So, I upon reflection, I really like the location, and I really like the idea of working with Tamba. I agree with the chief that the other locations are a little too obscure, and the other locations are big enough that they could be future growth for ball fields. This one is just perfect because you couldn't fit a ball field with a soccer field into that location, but you could certainly fit the skate park and future growth. So again, I support the board's decision, the committee's decision, and the staff's decision to support this location.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, in addition to the other commissioners support the location as well. I watched this on social media from Alicia's first comments on one of our community pages and groups on social media, and Greg's response to her on this has been an initiative in the past. So it's nice to see the hard work, the motivation with your group to see it get to the point that it is now. Because obviously it's hard work from the example of, you know, where it fell short in the past. This is something that I had an opportunity to speak with Alicia at one of the Stroll the Streets events. And I see it nothing but being a positive. Last week down at MML, there's a breakout session that I was part of that talked about well-being, the well-being reservoirs in a community, and how certain individuals or certain portions of the community aren't always engaging. And it's up to, you know, the community leadership to find reservoirs for the whole community. Some people are enjoying, you know, avalanche, some people are enjoying pickleball courts. But I see this being a direct benefit for our youth, for the mental health benefit, physical health benefit. So thank you for your leadership in molding and impacting the community with the board and each person that's helped get it to this point. So thank you with that. And obviously, me personally, I'll just speak to it because we're gonna have to make a decision here as a commission, knowing that you are on the Parks and Recs board and Hugh here as well. I don't see this having to come back for any more critique or any micromanagement. I think what it is very positive, so I feel good with the preferred option location there.
Thank you, Jim. Greg, could you just kind of give a brief sketch of what challenges you have now with fundraising, what the scope of what this project really is?
I've got ballpark, well, we started with a much larger ballpark number, and as we drilled down and really started to think about the size and the company that we want to use, you know, I've been down in Royal Oak, I've talked to a lot of Parks and Rec directors that have skate parks, and zeroed in on Hope because it was recently built. It's kind of a similar size community, and it's the right size park. So as far as next steps go, we really need to stake and survey the site and get Spawn Ranch, which is the company that we'll probably get multiple bids, but Spawn seems to be the right one for us. We've already talked to them, and there's a $20,000 design, you know, number that's out there for us, and I think we'll have a really much better think of the all-in number with the design, but hesitant to throw the figure out there, because I don't want it to come back and be way off, but it's less than I had feared, and it's a realistic number. And I think given the funding opportunities through the MEDC's patronicity dollar for dollar matching, we're really looking at that. Alicia and the team have identified independent sources and interest in funding through other groups in town. I've been waiting on my own with some other people that I know will be willing to uncork when we have the drawings in the spot to really show this bid. We're gonna ask a lot from our local contractors, because the more that we can get local contractors to donate surveying, site work and that sort of thing through the 501c3, that really does cut down on the total all-in costs from the group. So and we'll really be able to organize that better once we have the plan in place with Spawn from the design. But I think the first big milestone is going to be that $20,000 number to get there, to get the full plan in place. Does that answer the question?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in support, so if there's no other discussion, the commission, I entertain.
I'll make a motion to approve the location of the skate park at Urban Park as defined as a preferred option. West of the baseball diamond, east of the soccer field, and south of the pickleball courts.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Second, any further discussion? All right, Jessica, roll call, please.
Nemecheck.
Aye.
Conklin.
Aye.
Rudy.
Aye.
Weekend.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, and thank you. Thank you. Good luck and can't wait. Had an expectation now. Okay, moving on to new business, item A, Line Street Sanitary Sewer Reconstruction Award Recommendation. Mike?
Yes. Attached for the city commission's review and consideration in the agenda packet is a bid review and recommendation for the sanitary sewer line replacement at the south end of Line Street from our consulting engineer, Eric Kronk of C2AE. Eric is here in the meeting today. The city commission may recall that this line has been failing, causing clogs and backups and needs to be replaced. The attached memo reviews the bidding process and the results. Although the low bid of $72,814,000 is above the engineer's estimate, it remains well below and within the $100,000 we had budgeted for this project in the capital outlay line item in the wastewater fund. We have the funds to do the project as recommended. We have worked very well with all three of the contractors who bid on this project. We have no problems with any of them. And as you notice from the memo from Eric and the bid tabulation, all the bids came in relatively close to each other. So that basically makes us believe that we have valid bids that reflect the true value of the work out in the market today. If the city commission were to approve this today, the work would be done in the spring of next year, 2023. It's our recommendation that the city commission approve awarding the Line Street sanitary sewer reconstruction project to Monti Construction of Charlevoix, who was the low bidder, in the amount of $72,814, and authorize myself and the city clerk treasurer to execute the necessary documents to undertake the project. And again, we have the additional memo and materials that Eric provided as part of the agenda packet. Here's a map that kind of shows the work area up on the screen behind you. Again, it's just the south portion of Line Street that's being done. This line does not extend much further north than this. And we didn't see any reason, as we talked about with the commission before, I believe, for extending it further north. There really aren't that many developable properties that would benefit from an extension at this point. So again, Eric and I are available to address any questions the commission may have.
Okay. Eric, is there anything you want to add, or?
I think that's a pretty good summary. I don't have anything to add. Just maybe a couple more details. It's approximately 300 linear feet of sewer. There's 3 homes connected in this section at the dead end. Like mentioned, it drains down towards Lake Street, the main sewer line. It's got ongoing maintenance problems for the city. The construction of the sewer has shifted. They were built with Fernco type connectors between the pipe segments. So all that's like a flexible connection. So the pipe is misaligned, has clogging issues.
It's been a big maintenance issue for the city. And in regards to the bid prices, we estimated this project from our callers request at the end of 2021, and we just have consistently seen bid pricing in 2022 be unpredictable. But as Mike mentioned, we did receive 3 bids from qualified contractors that were all within 10% of each other. We felt like there was good bidding that represents the current value.
Thank you. Any other staff comment? Any questions from or comments from the audience? Okay, we move to commissioner deliberation. Tom, you want to start?
Sure. You refreshed us as to why this became a priority, and that makes sense, but it's been a nightmare as far as maintenance, so yeah, it makes sense, and I'm full support of moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear dry. That's something that we had budgeted for. It was a conversation in our budgeting session. Just curious, do you have like an estimate of what our Band-Aids costs have been and expenses have been to the city since we've been chasing these repairs and maintenance?
I don't have an estimate. I just had conversations with Mark Fowler. The types of activities they were doing were like, trying to televise and water jet and sewer to prevent clogging on, I think, multiple times a year. They had tried to reconstruct, I think the city had portions of it, fix that misaligned pipe. And I think it just, tried to do like one section and never really took on the whole 300 feet of sewer. But I don't have numbers as far as what those costs have been. I know it's been multiple times a year, the city's been out unclogging it.
Okay. The only other thing is there any contingency like within a percentage gap on a change order potentially down the road? It's just a concern that I always try to address on following the lowest bidder.
Right, yeah, we build in typically a 5 to 10% contingency in our estimates. Obviously, those estimates were over or under what the actual bid, so right now there is no contingency.
Those are all the questions I got.
Yeah, that was, Eric doesn't seem to know. Mike, do you have any idea on, a cost? That was my main question. What maintenance this has cost us?
It would be our time and materials for both using the Vector truck and sending our crews out. If we were able to handle it ourselves.
Right.
But then there would possibly be some contractual, if we basically had to have somebody come in with a rotor rooter and things of that nature.
Well, how many times did we have the contraction?
I want to say that we brought in people, I have to double check on that. I wanted to say overall, it seemed like we brought in, go out and attend to it in the last couple of years, about 3 or 4 times at least. And there's a possibility that between now and when the work takes place, that there may be a couple more times that we have to go out there. Because this pipe will continue to shift and realign itself until we get it rebuilt.
Understood. I got that. What Eric touched on, that was my question, is that obviously we attempted to try to find in one area where we have in the other areas. It just, I get it, it said it was budgeted for just because we budgeted for it. We've had a lot of conversation. We have a gentleman in the audience right today that, we've talked a lot about, the streets that we still don't have paved in this town. And I just have a problem spending, almost $80,000 when we haven't exhausted some of the smaller costs. And when we have a lot of other, issues around town. We ran the roads assessment. That's been about what, 5 years ago that was done now. The whole,
The pacer ratings?
yeah, exactly.
We've done those more recently than that.
Okay, I thought it was about 5 years ago, then it wasn't real public, whatever was done. But I mean, I would like to see, I would like to see some of that. I will say, thank you. This is the first time we had 3 bids on something since I've been a commissioner. So I'd like to say thank you for that, because that makes me feel good. Because more times than not, we don't. But I guess I don't think we've exhausted all the options for spending, $73,000. I said, sorry. My bad.
Eric, so you said that, I don't know, that was up there. So you said 3 homes are gonna be, impacted by this?
Yeah, it's 2 on the, east side of the road, and then 1 is kind of on the northwest corner of that red rectangle.
The duplex?
Yes.
Question. Sure. Question for Eric, and it might help people understand a little better the urgency behind this, is the fern coat fittings that we're shifting, which gives us our clog issues. Is that just at the homes, or is it at every 20 feet?
That's on the main line.
Yeah.
The pipe connections on the 8-inch main are connected with fern coat, so it's actually the main line sewer is what it should.
And how many connections do we have typically on that? Was that a jointed pipe, or was that a continuous pipe that was laid in?
Typically, the pipes are like 20-foot lengths, so there's,
Every 20 feet, we got fern coat.
right.
That's what we got from us.
Go ahead.
So let me just ask you this, in regards to, this lowest bid, from Montage, it's 12% above your guys' estimate. When essentially did you, collaborate that estimate, and what is the reasoning you think, in your professional opinion, why it's 12% higher?
We estimated this in December of last year. So, like I mentioned, we used the price increases in 2022 construction season that are really unpredictable. So I think that's the main reason, was this was budgeted and estimated last year. And prices have continued to go up. And that would be the main reason. As fuel costs go up, paving prices go up, if you look at some of the detailed breakdowns on paving, you'll see those are really high. Pipe material costs, the plastic sewer pipe costs are higher than what we would have anticipated even end of last year.
Okay, so let me ask you this, in your professional opinion as the architect engineer, say we throw 3 Band-Aids on it, get us through another year or 2 years. Do you expect to see another 12% annually potentially due to cost, material, and labor increase?
In construction in general,
Yes.
it's hard to predict, it kind of goes with the economy and really the price of fuel is a big thing. So it depends on, what inflation's at and what the cost of fuel, which is hard to predict.
Mike, is there, do you have access to the schedule mapping that we went over in our budgeting sessions that shows our red lines? Well, I'm going off from memory, but I believe it showed our sewer lines, and it showed sections in red that are priority 1 for replacement, so on and so forth.
Not available at this time.
Does this fall within the priority 1 that the city has identified as infrastructure?
Well, the reason that Mark brought it to the commission at that time and included it as part of the budget is because it had risen to basically a major maintenance item for us, taking time for our staff, expense, and then also inconvenience for the people where the sewers are backing up to.
Okay.
So it may not up until the last year or so been a priority item, but it basically became one.
Okay, I'm good with the recommendation, so I would entertain the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve awarding the Line Street Sanitary Sewer Reconstruction Project to Montague Construction of Charlevoix as a bid in the amount of $72,814. And authorize the city manager and city clerk treasurer to execute the necessary documents to undertake the project.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
Sorry.
Any further discussion? Jessica, roll call, please.
Conklin.
Aye.
Moody.
Nay.
Steve Hammer. Nemecheck. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to property and liability insurance coverage renewal. Mike?
Each year, the city has to renew its liability insurance, and our renewal period is coming up. And this is the liability insurance. We have $5 million worth of coverage that oversees all liability issues for the city of Boyne City. In 2005, we switched our property and liability insurance coverage from the Michigan Municipal League's liability and property pool. And we've been with them for quite a long time, and we switched to the Michigan Township Participating Plan, which we've been with since, and is represented by Paul Olson, and his offices are in Traverse City. At that time, our premium went from $105,259 to $82,273. And I provided the commission in the memo, basically what the rates have been through that and where they've gone up and down to where they are now. Assuming that the league's rates had stayed fairly constant, and they did, except with the usual increase, a ballpark is we estimate that we've saved since 2005 a little over $600,000 by switching providers, and ended up with equivalent and in some cases better coverage since we did that 17 years ago. And those savings would increase if we switched again, or if we continued for another year. Every few years, we have obtained quotes from different providers to make sure that we're getting good rates. The last time we did that was 8 years ago. And our insurance carrier at that time, the township pool plan, was still $7,000 less than the next lowest provider. We've attached a quotation and proposal from our current provider, Michigan Municipal Underwriters of Michigan, for the coming year, and they're included coverages. The price has gone up about 13% by $11,048 to an estimated $84,807. And I say estimated because throughout the year we add equipment, delete equipment, things of that nature, so the price goes up or down slightly as we make those changes through the year, and it would with any carrier. Despite the latest increase, the proposed cost still is only about 81%, or some $20,452 less than what we paid the Michigan Municipal League back in 2004, 2005. And it's also about $4,000 less than the highest rate that we paid, which is in 0708 under our current plan. We've been very happy with the services provided by our current carrier since we switched with them in 2005. Mr. Olson and the team that he works with has continued to provide very good service and coverage. They're really easy to work with and to reach out to on any issue that we have coming up. A lot of times they have it, we'll have a special event and things of that nature, and they'll provide coverage for that at no additional cost. A few years ago, 9 years ago, we received a grant from the insurance company's risk reduction program of just under $5,000 that helped us purchase the computer storage system for the police department at that time. We're looking to apply for another grant for a remote camera system for our parks facilities in the current grant round, which is coming up in November. They also have an annual dividend program, which may reduce our actual cost even further by refunding a portion of that previous payment to us. This past year, it saved us about $2,600. If we thought we could get a better deal by getting quotes, we could still renew our coverage, which is up for renewal on November 1st, and then shop and switch at a later date if we chose. At this point, it's a recommendation of staff that the city commission authorize myself and the city clerk treasurer to take the necessary steps to renew our city's liability insurance coverage with the Michigan Township Participating Plan at an estimated cost of $84,807 for the 22-23 year. I'd be glad to answer any questions the commission has.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any questions or comments from the audience? Yeah, if you want to start us off.
Sure, yeah. I like the numeric values that you provided here showing the savings that potentially, we can increase that to $621,000. And with renewing this versus the old policy plan, I mean, I'm in full support, the numbers are right there, yeah. I don't have any questions. Pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, it is pretty good, right? And, it was exciting to read the history. Thanks, Mike, for providing that. And, it definitely has saved a lot over the years. I definitely don't sell insurance for a living. My only question was on page 15, it was, property fire coverage, personal property off premises for $100,000. It just seemed as a low number, so I don't have any idea, but all the other liability aspects were out there.
Yeah, they come in and inspect our properties every few years, Marty, to make sure that things stay in the proper range. And they actually build those numbers up a little bit higher and make sure that we have coverage. So everything that I'm aware of and that based on the reviews, we should be very well covered within the $5 million cap.
Yep. And then obviously now we got some new equipment that's gonna be going on there, so that'll change. Probably
Correct.
The,
Yes, like when the new fire truck arrives, that'll be added to it.
new loader.
Yes,
Okay. And then on the flip side, there'll be minuscule, but when are we gonna get rid of our cars?
well, that was a discussion that the commission wanted to have come back to us with regards to that discussion about whether we wanted to keep any of them or not.
So 9F.
Excuse me?
I said
9F, 9F.
Okay, but.
Yeah, I'm full support, and in fact, you've been very happy with the services. Cost, is competitively a good cost for the city. I'm in full support.
Okay, yeah, I support the recommendation, but I would like to see us go out for bid prior to us renewing the next year. And I've never understood, if you all know, why Michigan Municipal charges so much to its members when it comes to insurance coverage.
That's been a big frustration of mine, because we usually reached out to there's 3 big providers of municipal insurance in Michigan. It's the Michigan Municipal League, Michigan Township Participating Plan, and the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority. And we've gotten quotes or attempted to get quotes for them each time we've gone out from them as well. And the league has consistently been high, and that's been a frustration to me that even when it was on the MML board, it didn't make a difference.
Okay, I entertain a motion on the property and liability insurance coverage renewal.
I'll make
A motion to approve the recommendations from the city manager, Michael Kane, to approve the city manager and the city clerk treasurer to take the steps necessary to renew the city liability insurance through the Michigan Township Participating Plan at an estimated price of $84,807 for the 2022-23 year.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
second.
Second. Any further discussion? Jessica, roll call, please.
Moody.
Aye.
Newcamp.
Aye.
Nemecheck.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Moving on to item C under new business, fall tree planting and the city right of way contract recommendation.
Okay, each year, Public Works Department receives a list of locations where citizens of Boyne City request trees to be planted in a public right of way. The proposed total for the 22-23 fall planting season in the city's right of way is 65 trees this year. For the past several years, Robinson Landscaping has performed fall tree planting for the city of Boyne City. I received a written proposal recently from Charles Robinson for all materials, installation, and 65 of the requested trees and species. The total cost for this year is $29,925. These costs are included in the 2022-23 budget and would be charged to the following accounts. Major streets and local streets, and each one has a balance of $30,000 in it currently. Recommendations is my recommendation, the city commission approve a purchase order contract with Robinson Landscape for the 2022-23 bulk tree planting project in the amount not to exceed $29,925. Further, I recommend that city manager execute the documents.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any other staff input? Or audience questions or comments? Okay. Martin, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I love trees. I don't have a problem with, most of this at all. What I don't, I guess agree with. So we had 31 total requests. So,
65.
no, 31 requests, 65 trees. Yeah. So I just, I have a problem with the multiples. And so the way that I broke it down was we had 31 requests. So 9 of them were for a tree. 22 were for over 1 tree and 5, well, so 2 trees, I should say. And then 5 were for over 2 trees. So if you honored the 31 requests and gave everybody a tree, doing simple math, simple algebra, your cost would be $14,271.92 instead of $29,000. I don't have a problem with planting the trees. I have a problem with I don't think there's a lot of people around this town that know that they can call the city and go, hey, I'd like a tree. I think they think that the city goes and plants the trees. And so I just have a problem with throwing all our eggs in a few different baskets. So other than that, I don't have any problem with planting trees at all. If that makes sense.
It does, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, I just had to follow up on your comment. There were some sites that we found that were big open corner lots, and then maybe the surrounding properties all were planted in with trees on the right of way. And it seemed to balance it, so like some people got 3 or 4 trees. Because it seemed like it made the neighborhood more balanced if you added those trees. Follow
Yeah, I follow you. I guess my flip side on that is I guess I didn't know that I could call City Hall and say, hey, I'd like a screen of my property. That's my problem. Having a tree here or there is a request, and I get it, and I respect that. And that's what we're here for. You know, saying, hey, I'd like you to completely enclose my property for me. I have a problem. So I understand where you're going, that you're looking at continuity, but what almost all of these requests aren't major thoroughfares, so they're in neighborhoods. So I respect what you're saying, but that's my.
Okay.
Well, to follow through with that, let's clarify, this isn't just, I can call City Hall and make a tree on my property, it's within the right of way.
Right.
So it's basically between the sidewalk and the street. Right? Okay. And I just want to clarify that. And the other, big factor in this is that we are certified as Trees to the USA. And what keeps that certification going is the fact that we do have an aggressive program to replant 40, 60, 80 trees a year. And I think that's a tribute to our community. The other thing that we learned in past years is the right species for the right location. And I hope we're still following that. You don't want to plant a oak tree under the power lines that in 20 years it will run through the power lines, and Consumers Energy came in and educated previous staff on this concept, which the brand new reconstruction on Lincoln Street, there's a lot of trees planted underneath the power line. I hope they're the right species. I hope they won't grow 80 feet tall. I trust that those are the right species, but so to you, I guess, Marty, I'm saying more trees is better, and I think we have in the past got the word out that, hey, if you want a tree in front of your property, on city property, give us a call, and so I hope. Can we do a better job probably, yeah, with pointers, planning. 65 trees in town is just an asset to our town, so I'm in full support. Full.
Sure. So what, Don, you said it, maybe you know the answer. So what's the cutoff for being a tree city? Do I gotta plant 65 trees, or can I plant 20 or 30 or 40?
You know, I don't know the proportion, Marty, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's so many trees in a given area, and if it also is including what property owners put on their land. And what we could go down the right of way. But I think part of our goal is to have some continuity and have the nice row of trees as you go down the streets. And to kind of standardize that wherever we can, you know, throughout all neighborhoods. And not just the few that are like the old growth neighborhoods down on Marine.
Well, and I respect that, but on the same token, again, you know, if you're looking at your corridors, that would make sense that you want them, you know, methodically done or whatever you're saying. As far as all the different off branches and neighborhoods, I don't want to look bad, but I can't exactly agree to that. Do you know the answer? What's the tree city count?
I don't think there's a count. I think there's a dollar value of how much we have to put into our program, and I'd have to look that up, Marty.
Okay.
But I would comment with regards to it, one of the concerns from some of the previous commissions has been the number of trees we've had to remove, which has greatly outstripped the number of trees we had to plant. We really kind of took removals as the top priority, because that really created a safety issue. And there were many, many years where our removals far outpaced our plantings. So this, you know, helps us keep even or maybe move a little bit forward to what we've had to remove in past years.
Well, so along with what you said, what Mike said, and what Tom said, so why would we not, if you want to go over uniform and everything, then why would we not take 31 requests and say, okay, there's 31 requests, we'll honor those for people that called in, and now I'm going to take 34 opinions of Mike, Tom, and you, and you know, whoever in this room wants to say, I'd like to see a tree here or there and everything else. There, you know, you can scatter them around, and now you can get a plan going. I just don't, I don't understand okay, we're gonna plop 3 here, 5 here, and just can't understand it.
Mayor?
Yes.
Marty raises a very good point, because in previous years, this goes back a ways. We did do more of that, where we just kind of planted trees where we thought it was more appropriate. And what we found is that a lot of people weren't all that thrilled about getting a tree. It didn't take a lot of care. We had a lot of die off as a result of that. So we've kind of gone to more of a supporting people that really wanted trees in their yards as places to start with regards to it, because we had a better survival rate there for people that would actually help take care of the tree, help water it, or help maintain a water bag for some of those that we've got. Because you're correct. I mean, there's a lot of places that can use additional trees as well too, but we've had our best success where people actually wanted them.
Okay. Are these all native species?
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part?
There's a couple that I don't really know where, you know, with the background, you know, not an arborist, but everything that I've seen was common.
Okay. I understand the Tree City USA thing. I think it's a great value to the community. It's one of those things where obviously it shows where your ROI is, return on investment. It's very, you can look out in our city right now with fall colors and see the benefit, obviously. Only concern that I have, it's not really a problem, but it is a concern, is making sure that we're all inclusive on programs like that. I've lived in Boyne City for a number of years and I had no idea that this was even an option. So the questions I have is where is it generated? How do I make that request? What is the request time frame? And then taking that above and beyond with our social media contractors, how do we make sure we're engaging the public and that the public as a whole, not just a handful of 30 people in the community is aware of this program, but what are steps we're taking to make sure that our community is being educated on this opportunity? That's what I would like to see, going forward, because if I was the commissioner sitting here today, I'd probably go many more years before I realized that this was even an opportunity or option. Within Boyne City. The only other thing I would say is, reading through this, I didn't know if there's just nowhere else taking a bid on this, or if there's a primary, person that we've utilized for X amount of years, or while we're only seeing, this Robinson's Landscaping and Nursery, but are we utilizing a contingency plan of these plant warranties? Because obviously not all trees that you plant are going to succeed, and there has to be a die-off rate that's acceptable to the community or the administration as far as the investment that they're making. So do we have a strong contingency plan on these newly planted trees to follow up within that year's time frame on that warranty to make sure that we are getting our bang for our buck, essentially?
Yeah, and I'd like to answer to that if I could. Gallistonburg and I went and visited every request address, right? And we looked at what a good species would be. We looked at the power lines overhead. We looked at a couple different factors, right? And we selected trees that offer good balance, so you had not just a bunch of maples or a group of oaks, something that had some good balance and interest, and survival rate of the location based on, does it get too much sunlight here? Does it get too much road salt here? So there was a lot of things that we took into consideration. But I, being new to this position, had the same questions that you have right now. I mean, why isn't this marketed as an opportunity for all city residents, not just those that know about it can get it? It's just the way that we, I guess, portray ourselves on social media and our newsletters and things like that. That's something that could be changed in the future, because I didn't know about it being a resident here for quite a few years. I didn't know about it until I got engaged. And then as far as using Robinson's, this could go out to bids, but I think Robinson's having a nursery and stock allows some better pricing. But I think every year, or every couple of years at least, you should go out and get prices so you're staying in line with best value you can get for you. So your questions are things that I thought of, but a lot of this being new for me, I just kind of followed the steps that were taken in the past and kind of concluded that sure, you can always ask questions, but there's reasons why we do things, and it seems to work. So didn't have a lot of time to kick this down the road, and I want to get it off this year.
Yeah. And the questions I raise aren't to like put a roadblock here. It's essentially let's take steps and bettering, because as you're learning about the program, I'm learning about the program, and I want to make sure that as we're learning about the program, we're taking steps to better ourselves in 3 years, essentially.
Yeah. So my conclusion here would be that yes, we need to do a better job of getting it out to the citizens about the program. However, I think Pat usually did put it in the newsletter, and there wasn't a lot of in past years advertisements for this. My second comment would be, in the 10 years I've been on the commission, I think every year we've done a roadscape, new road from Court Street, Hannah Street, Douglas Street, Lake Street, 10 roads in the last 10 years, and all of them included a treescape. And I think probably the majority of the trees that we planted over the years went along with two more, Cedar Street and Terrace Street. All of them have treescapes, which is part of these totals. I believe it could be part of the package of reconstructing the streets. But I love the effort that we are making to treescape our community. We can do a better job, and I agree.
Okay. Do you have any idea, Mike, this year, how many trees we took down compared to how many trees we planted?
We haven't started that initiative yet, Hugh, but the number right now is 36.
Okay. And if the commission would indulge me on something, a couple months ago, I and a couple other folks in the group attended a group of interested citizens who wanted to form a tree commission to deal with a lot of the things that have been brought up here. And if you would indulge me in having it as a future agenda item to kind of go through that, because I think we could deal with all the questions that have been brought up here, and comments and concerns, and help people get on the list and the health of the city trees and all those other things. I think there's an avenue where we can address that. So if you would indulge me, maybe under item 9F, we could get your approval to do that as an agenda item, some future meeting.
Yeah, I agree. I know it's a topic in the community. Well, I know the community is very invested in the trees. And looking through the city charter, there is actually a position that the city appoints an individual to, what is it, tree officer? Is that the official term? Yeah, and I have no idea who the tree officer is.
Yeah, a lot of other communities have like a park commission, much like the Parks and Rec, they make recommendations to the city commission, and, you know, they're paying attention to what the needs are, and they're listening to people, and, you know, there's a strategy behind it, rather than just who calls up and says, I like a tree, or not, front yard, but front right of way.
So I would support that, yes.
Okay, well, I would entertain a motion on the fall tree planting in the city.
I'll make a motion that the city commission approve a purchase order contract with Robinson's Landscape for the 2022-2023 fall tree planting project in an amount not to exceed $29,925. Further, I would recommend the city manager execute these documents.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion, you have something, Mark?
Yeah, so in the multiples, so those were just requests. No one in your department at Bellison said, well, you wanted one, you want 5, we'll give you 4 more. These were all straight requests. And they read down the list and requested what tree they wanted. To Mike's point, Mr. Kane's point, and I respect that, you know, Gal helped you with this. As far as the horticulture, it's probably ones that I would trust the most. But, and to Kim's question, as far as native trees, I mean, you know, I don't know if anybody in this room has ever tried to, you know, nurture a tulip tree, but it's not the easiest thing to do. And extremely hard. And we have, what do we have? 7 of those style trees on here. You know, so at a $500 a piece cost, which is pretty much what these things are at, I just have a problem. It doesn't matter. It's already. We know where this is going, but I would like to clean it up a lot. And I'd entertain your motion, Hugh, and I said it in the beginning, I have nothing against trees. I love trees. We have a lot of beautiful trees around this town. But I just get tired of the, oh, you know, so now here we are, we're gonna pass something else just because, and without saying, hold on. Can we talk to you at this meeting and, you know, let's talk this through, and maybe we don't give 5, maybe the max is 2, and, you know, maybe there's some give and take here, but once again, it's just gonna go, it'll be done, and then it'll ride off into oblivion, and we'll try to remember this.
What is the timeline challenge here?
Well, we'd like to get everything done before frost, which basically gives us to the end of November. And Robinson is well positioned to start tomorrow if this goes in their direction. The mistakes have been called in, the stakes are in location, the species are located on the stake, and the count has been tallied and ready to go if it goes through.
And if I could further add, fall is the best time to be planting trees.
Yeah.
Give them the best chance to get established.
A bunch of farmers, we plant apple trees. And this is where I agree with a lot of what Marty's saying. But when I have these agenda items, and it makes me upset when I have these agenda, like May, and I don't know if it's because of how we're planning these agenda packets or whatnot, but I would love the opportunity when a commissioner says, let's have more discussion, to be able to say, I support that, let's have more discussion, let's better ourselves, let's clean this up, because I agree there's some things we can clean up here. But then to be faced with well, if you take more time, you're gonna be SOL for the next year, and that's what frustrates me the most, time and time again. So what more time do you think we can take and still hit the target of getting these planted before we're shooting ourselves in the foot and planting trees too close to frost?
My only suggestion was come down to one. There's 31 trees. That's why I brought it up to you.
Well, we have a motion. and
Yeah.
second. So, we need to hear through that for the motion. Any other discussion? Yes, a roll call, please.
Meehammer,
I,
Nemecheck, Conklin.
Aye.
Moody,
Nay.
motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to item D, Clearwater Lake Management, algae and weed treatment. Dawn?
Good afternoon. This request is seeking commission approval to execute a multi-year agreement with Clearwater Lake Management Inc. Clearwater Lake Management Inc. is responsible for the annual application of algae and weed treatments during Q2 and Q3. The price of algae and weed treatments is projected to rise as it did this previous year. The request here is for the option for a multi-year agreement is what is being requested. The agreement, insofar as the increase is approximately 2%. By executing a multi-year agreement, we will keep costs static for year 1 and year 2 of the agreement. Year 3 would then be a revisit to the contract at that point. The request here is to approve the multi-year contract not to exceed $23.35 annually. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay. Moving to commission deliberation, now you want to start?
yeah, can you just explain it a little bit more in depth, the program?
The program itself, sure. The program itself requires a $250 flat fee for the permit in order to be able to go ahead and do the treatments. Then there are 3 consecutive treatments that will occur during Q2 and Q3 of 2023. So during the spring, summer season, they will go ahead and treat the algae and the weeds in the marina. They will spray accordingly, that's right, but they will treat accordingly. The option is if we decide or the commission approves to execute a multi-year agreement, that cost would remain static, right? So the $23.35 would be the same price for 2024. 2025 would then, based on if prices are increasing, we would then have a notification from Clearwater Management to walk through, discuss with them regarding price increase or decrease at that time. Depending, it would probably not decrease, but it would more than likely increase. So what this is the approximate savings, quite honestly, to execute a multi-year agreement, you'd be looking at approximately a $75 save. It's about $25 per application is what we would be looking at in order to make sure that those prices, that the price did not increase in 2024. Historically, it's increased about 2 to 3% per year. That's where the difference is. Did that answer your question?
I guess, so it's a application, environmentally safe.
Correct.
How long have we been doing it?
I looked back, so I only went back 2 years. We have been doing it for 2 years, I know. I did not go any further back than that, and we have been executing it annually.
It's quite some time.
Okay.
And prior to that, I mean, the marina would get kind of funky if you don't do it.
Infested with weeds and.
Yes, correct.
Okay, that explains, so it's a preventative of letting the marina like you said, it's pretty ugly.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I've read through this. It's pretty front and forward.
Yeah, I understood the majority of it until now. So we're signing up, we're signing a 3-year contract that we're locked into, so 2025, they can make whatever they want. Okay, well then explain to me again, is 2023 and 24 are 23, 35. So in 2025, we can say, yeah, we'll like your number, see you later. Perfect.
Are there other companies who do?
I do not know the question to that one. This is why I'm coming to you guys early, so that if I do need to go research that for you guys, and that's something that we're interested in knowing, I can go ahead and do the research. I went off past history. Past history is that we've been doing this, but we do have time. These applications would not necessarily take place, like I said, until Q2. So, certainly open to that if that would be your wish.
Again, I support the recommendation, so I would entertain a motion. To approve the clear water management. Multi-year agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the city staff to execute a multi-3-year agreement with Clearwater Lake Management Inc. from Rockford, Michigan.
Second time. Any further discussion? Jessica, roll call, please.
Conklin.
Aye.
Moody.
Aye.
Deacon.
Aye.
Nemecheck. Motion carried.
Okay, we move to item 9E. And we have a couple meetings requests. One is regarding the agreement and short-term rental are both scheduled for November 22nd. I didn't see discussion on whether or not we do that for month.
I sincerely believe it's gonna want, you've got two complete different audiences, not all complete, with a lot of them. That if in fact there's room for both meetings, I don't think it would be fair to hold them on the same night. With that being said, I think we still would have time with the, Scott's not gonna like this answer, but moving the short term rental to the first meeting in December and addressing the marina, because I think the marina is the most pressing issue. We've got to figure something out. We've got, we're gonna hear from Evan and Marsh at that meeting. We've now got, our information, on repairs. And so I think that we sincerely need to address it. And it's been going on a lot longer than
Your thought?
I would entertain a special meeting for the marina. Work session where Amber Marsh presents to us.
It's your recommendation, it's separated from the
I
same.
understand. Yeah, Marty's right. With that being said, the short-term rental second reading should not be that long of an agenda item. Scott?
I can't comment on that. I have no objection. I mean, that was their responsibility.
No, I didn't know if it was gonna mess with the whole process.
So moving forward, how would it work for it to be, we could start requiring, if we go that route of licenses and all that, what kind of schedule?
Well, I was anticipating, beginning the program in January. If the ordinance is adopted at the December meeting, it would become effective 15 days after it's published, so probably late December it would become actually effective. The one thing that I did want to do was send letters to all those who had passed rentals or currently have rentals, kind of inform them of the program and let them know that January would be the window to obtain licenses. So I don't see moving that really doing, delaying that procedure that I have on. So as long as it's that way, I don't see it.
And at that second reading, that's when we'll have a discussion about the cap and the fee.
No, actually, the commission wanted to bring that back prior to having that discussion, and I was anticipating bringing that back to the next agenda on the first.
I will be absent from that meeting. So,
The first,
yeah. I will get something planned. I kind of screwed up and forgot about when we were setting up for the first. My apologies. Okay, so, well, I entertain a motion then about, what the chemicals are.
Yeah, I don't think it's beneficial or productive for both of those topics to be in one meeting.
Okay, so the motion will be considered then having, the Marina, presentation at our November 22nd meeting. And Scott, apparently good with the December 8th meeting for the short-term rental. And that's the 7th p.m. And in the November 22nd meeting, we also changed our meeting. Yeah.
What date is
Mayor, it's December 13th is our first meeting in December. And just to let the commission know, when I put the manager's report together, I raised this topic. I reached out to Mike Morphy from Marsh to make sure he was going to be available on the 22nd. I haven't heard back from him. I'm assuming that he'll be available. That's the only fly in the ointment that I don't know the answer to right now.
well, Mr. Mayor, instead of bumping short-term rental down to go 2 weeks. Is there any thought on a special meeting for the brand? That whole week of first or second week of November. We moved it off the 8th because it's voting day, with the 9th, 10th, 7th. I'll be out of town the 7th, the 9th and 10th that week. Advertise, I mean, we could really dive into it because it's the only agenda item. The question being whether Marsh is ready.
With respect to that, Tom, I think the biggest problem is that you've got people that are looking to the calendar and I think we just get, there's already 50-50 on both issues. And I just see that you're just setting us all up for, oh, geez, you just tried to slide it in on this day because, if you wanted to do this or that. So I would rather pick the dates and move them to the regular commission dates. I just think you're gonna have better communication, better turnouts. Less reason for somebody to cry.
Okay, well, why don't we, I'll make a motion that we have the Marina topic at our November 22nd meeting. And we move the short-term rental meeting to our December 13th meeting. There, seven.
That's important.
Any further discussion? Jessica, roll call, please.
Manship,
Aye.
Conklin,
Aye.
Moody,
Aye.
Geehammer.
Aye.
Moody.
And then the other item we wanted to cover was to have the city vehicles on the future agenda. Mike, if you could. Have that happen.
Yes, that's not a problem.
And then also about possible tree emission of some sort for a future meeting.
Do we know who's going to be preparing that information? I know you've been doing some research. I think that would, I don't know if you have enough information already assembled.
Particularly on that.
I mean, staff would be glad to assist on it, but if there's already information assembled, that'd be helpful.
So maybe we could move that to January, have that in January.
Okay.
If you build the cars in January, that works for you. Okay. Brad, if we, didn't do the discussion on the gap in the lane, would that be a topic we could include on November 22nd, or do you think that would be too contested?
The cap would be quite a discussion. I think the fees are pretty cut and dry. Kind of have to charge what it costs.
So, I just won't be here for that meeting.
Well, will George be able to participate in that meeting?
That would be.
Well, I don't mean, I mean, because he excludes himself
Oh,
from short-term rental issue. So it'd just be three of us,
Right.
Three is a quorum, right?
It's a quorum, I'm just, is it fair to have, not have you and George here?
Well, I think that, I mean, I don't know how anybody else feels, but you know, so George sat out of the main discussion. So that's all that's said. I wouldn't see a problem with it. You know, maybe into that, but I guess that's a question for council.
Okay. Well, we can go to the order. Anytime.
No, thanks for having the chamber. That's what I know.
Okay, good, so,
The only, I guess the only other thing is, I have some material, this is more so for the commission. I have a bunch of material from multiple breakout sessions from the MML. In regards to housing solutions, housing mobility, ARP funds, there's a lot of different resources and data websites. That I learned about down there as well. So I'm an open book, feel free, but I would really like to focus on the ARP funds. I believe we have 13 months, 14 months, 14
Till December
months.
of next year.
Yeah, 14 months to figure out how those funds are going to be utilized. And to make sure that, I don't know how those funds are very dynamic, how multiple other municipalities are utilizing those funds. But depending on how they're being utilized, there's a time structure that I think is appropriate with engaging the community. So we have to begin those conversations here to see how we move out to the community with utilizing those funds essentially. So I think that's a topic that, me personally, I do not want to come to a meeting and say, I'm frustrated with the timing of it. So I would just like to get ahead of it from the beginning.
Tim, are you going to the conference on Thursday and Friday?
I won't be attending a 2-day thing, but potentially I'll be there either Thursday or Friday. I'm most likely thinking Thursday is the most beneficial day to attend.
I did notice, we forgot to discuss one item under 9E, and that was the electronic meeting. How to coordinate that, so could you put that on a future agenda as well?
Yeah, I posed a question to see if the commission did want to discuss it, and I hadn't heard any feedback, so.
You want to lay out the ground rules for our electronic meeting and comment, public comment, that's really, sure, clarify. Okay.
Well, it makes sense, it's just being a.
Yeah, that was a technical issue, but obviously there's a policy that should probably be behind it, our practice.
Okay, under announcements, Boyne City trick or treat hours are from 5 to 8 p.m. on Monday. And the next regular city commission meeting is scheduled for November 1st at 7 p.m. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Aye.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thanks, everyone.